A lot of people have not been very happy with the Book of Boba Fett as far as the content within it. They do not think that it's a good portrayal of Boba Fett. There have been a lot of people complaining about that. And one of them is Heather Antos. Shockingly, this comes off as very professional. In fact, I would say in this tweet, Heather Antos really attacks the entire fan base of the company she works for and all the companies that she has worked for in the past as far as comic books. It's weird that Heather Antos has been moving from one sinking ship to the next. Now she's somehow landed at IDW, which appears to be on its very last legs. And here to talk to me about that is my good friend from season 4 of Young Justice, Darkwing Duck, comic book writer, editor, Aaron Sparrow. How you doing, Aaron?
Doing fantastic.
Also, we have entertainment industry guru, got his own YouTube channel, musician, actor, host. Basically, he's his own entertainment brand. How you doing, Jesse Blade Snyder?
I'm doing wonderful, sir.
Well, Heather Antos knows what the real problem is, and this is from a tweet. This is part of a thread, but it's basically attacking not only everyone that reads IDW comic books, but really every viewer of my channel. This is what Heather says. This is genius stuff, and you can see why they've moved from Marvel to Valiant all the way down to IDW now. I don't think it's a lately thing, talking about people complaining about the amount of action and violence within Boba Fett. I think it's toxic masculinity, projecting itself that we've always seen. Well, that is not English.
You're not messing that up. That is a direct quote.
These guys idolize these characters as badasses and want to see them pour out their rage in ways they themselves cannot do but want to. It's disgusting. I hate to break it to her. She was an editor on Star Wars. People go into the Star Wars universe because they want to see characters do stuff that they think would be cool if they were in that situation. Now she's on Star Trek. And guess who the customers for Star Trek are, Aaron Sparrow? They're guys that want to fantasize about going into space and finding, aliens to fight or finding beautiful aliens, maybe to bed. Mm-hmm. These are her customers, and she's basically calling them all disgusting.
This is everybody who has ever consumed any sort of book or any sort of fiction. That's what or fiction is. Game. Yeah, or a video game.
All you
or
do
anything.
is kill people in video games.
And you want to talk about men and projecting themselves into these characters? Let's talk a little bit about some things that a lot of women find popular. The Outlander series, which is like a romance type of, or any kind of romance novel where some well-hung Adonis rides in on a horse and, sweeps a woman off their feet. It's all fantasy fulfillment. That's what this is. That's what fiction is. And the fact that a senior editor that is in charge of producing fiction for companies doesn't understand that or thinks it's disgusting explains why we're getting Star Wars stories about galactic bake-offs instead of, bounty hunting and the criminal underworld and Jedi and Sith. And, it says a lot. It says a lot about why these properties that she is handed are not successful. Is because it seems that she has a fundamental misunderstanding about what it is that she's supposed to be producing. So, you've got this character that we've all expected to see be a badass. And you've built up that expectation through years and years of, the expanded universe, much better stories by Dark Horse, which is the one company that I think that Heather Antos hasn't landed at yet. And, they're probably very thankful for that sales-wise. It's just one of those things. It's like the expectation's been built up and you have not delivered on any part of that expectation. So, of course, people are disappointed. And it's not just men that are disappointed. There's a lot of female fans. My friend Marie watching this is like, this is so disappointing. I like The Mandalorian so much better. He was, such a better badass. And this is supposed to be Boba Fett. And I don't feel like they've done anything that's cool with him. So, it's not just toxic masculinity. It's people who understand story and people who understand what these properties are supposed to be about.
Could you imagine if Aaron, you decided, you know what? I think Barbies are too girly. Or I think Glee is too girly, and you try to infiltrate the production of a Barbie cartoon or the toy line or whatever to try and take out the things that the customers for Barbie came there to enjoy. You would be a pariah. You would be a pariah, but you wouldn't do that because you're professional.
If you hire me to write a Hallmark movie, I'm going to write a schmaltzy Hallmark movie. I'm not going to go, how can I inject a bunch of
and you wouldn't go action out there and talk crap about the Hallmark audience and say that they're terrible people for liking melodramatic girly stuff that I personally don't find all that entertaining.
Yeah, you knew what you were getting into in the first place.
Well, look, I view like my handling of properties very differently. If you hand me a property, I'm going to look at it and I'm going to say, what is it that the fans of this enjoy about it? And then I'm going to lean into that. I'm not going to try and change it to my sensibility if it doesn't exactly match. I'm going to try and give you what you love. You know, I want you to love this thing, and I want anything that I'm in. And maybe this is the difference between me and the Heather Antoses of the world, is that when my name is attached to something, when I have my resume and it's like, here's the list of properties that I've worked on, I want people to look at that list and say, and he didn't screw up a single one of them. That's what I want said. It doesn't matter if you have these things on your resume. If everybody looks at it and goes, yeah, they really boned that, didn't they?
Heather Antos in her ilk, and there's a lot of actors like this. I would say they're bad faith actors within comic books and entertainment. They see things like this as problematic, so they attach a term like toxic masculinity to it, so they can try and take it away from you. And that's their sole purpose of being there. Heather Antos is not there to deliver good, high quality Star Wars stories or Star Trek stories. They're there to take things away from people. What I don't get, Aaron, is we hear this word entitlement is supposed to be very bad. Like you're not supposed to feel entitled to any of these things, but it definitely feels like your Heather Antoses, your Alana Smiths feel like they're entitled to a piece of the comic book industry and to take it away from the people that enjoy them because they don't like what you enjoy, and it's their job, and they're entitled to take it away from you and anyone that enjoys it.
No, you're absolutely right, and we're seeing the result of that. We're seeing that the people that they're trying to appeal to don't read comics or don't have money to buy comics, and so we're seeing the market shrink and shrink and shrink, and they're boiling it down. They don't like the mainstream. They don't like what normies like. They don't like the majority. What they want is they want just a smaller and smaller and smaller niche and a little club. But the problem is you work for a corporation that wants to make a profit. And I think what we're starting to see with like the Chapek memo and some of the things that we're hearing coming out of Disney and some of the things that we're seeing within Hollywood, where they're starting to take notice, where Eternals flops horribly, but Spider-Man, when we're supposed to be in this pandemic that's preventing any movie from making money, just blows through everything because it gave fans what they wanted. It gave the normal viewing audience, the majority, what they wanted. And that's what you need to be aiming for. You can do little niche books for little niche audiences, and that's fine. And there should be those things for people. If you want a lesbian, basket weaving anthology, that should be there for you. Someone who's interested in that should create that book, but just know that it's going to be a niche product that appeals to that niche audience. But when you're dealing with these big corporate IPs, you need to be aiming for the biggest possible chunk of the pie, because these things cost a lot of money to produce, not just comics, but the movies and things like that. They cost a decent amount of money to produce, and they've got to get that return on that investment. So what you need to do is you need to please the majority of fans as much as possible.
The way they are going about this conversation is all wrong, and to sort of like take out the foundation of the thing and like yank it out and be very, no, you don't get any of that, bad boy, for wanting it. It's such folly. As a kid,
it's narcissism. It boils down to narcissism, Jesse. It's I'm not going to give you what you want. This is all about what I want it to be, not what you, the person paying for it, wants it to be. I'm going to force what I want down your throat. You're going to like it, or I'm going to call you names. I'm going to say something that Tim Seeley said in response to somebody complaining about one of his books, complaining about Nightwing, a woman objectifying Nightwing. And she started tweeting, was trying to get Tim Seeley fired. No matter what you think of Tim's writing, I thought he had a fantastic response where she talked about how the scene made her uncomfortable, and he just responded, "Fiction is allowed to make you uncomfortable."
We see that there appears to be a new philosophy or strategy for Disney under Chapek. He's finally really in charge now. There's the memos out there. There are rumors of other meetings happening behind the scenes where there's going to be a culture change of not disrespecting customers, not trying to force things down customers' throats that they don't want. Disney is a leader in entertainment, maybe the leader. They have a lot of the big franchises that make the most money. Do you think everybody else ends up following suit? And then we won't have to deal with this kind of crap from a Heather Antos anymore.
I think these sort of things are always cyclical. We went through a big political correctness push in the 90s. It didn't last as long as this one has, and I think that social media has really lengthened the life of this horrible period. But I think it's coming to an end, because at the end of the day, you have companies and you have shareholders and you have people who need to make money, and none of these things are making money. None of these ideas resonate with the majority of the country or the world. So unfortunately, if companies want to stay competitive, if they want to hang on to their customer base, if they want to have people continue to spend money with them, they need to appeal to that audience. And the Heather Antos audience, the Twitter audience, that's an audience that has not shown up. So it's gonna hit a point where if Disney makes this shift and they're making money at it, you're going to see other companies follow suit. And thank God for that.
I hope it works, man. I really do. Disney has bought up all my favorite things: the Muppets and Pixar and Marvel. And I've always been a huge Disney animation fan. Since I was really little, I adored those franchises and those things. And to see the foundations of where they've come from be so dishonored has really been disheartening for me as a fan. And I do believe that if on a large scale they make a shift and they demonstrate the profitability of that shift, that will send huge ripples through the industry. So not just as a Disney fan who would love to see things get a little bit more back on track, but as a fan of entertainment in general, I really do hope that they're able to kind of shift to catering to the fandom and giving us what we all want, because that's what I'd like to see from all these companies.
We have the power. So what you need to do when they make this shift is you need to go out and support it. You need to show them that this is what you want. Much like people did with Spider-Man, showed them this is the kind of entertainment that we want. So you got to go out there and you got to vote with your dollar. You can't be like the people on Twitter who demand something and then they don't have any money to show up for it. We have the power. We have the bucks to be spent. Let's make sure that we show them what we want.
If you would like to see just how bad comic books can and will be if Heather Antos and her ilk have their way, I reviewed this comic book from Vita Ayala and Stephanie Williams, Nubia and the Amazons. It's so bad you won't even believe it.